Karen tried to ban his dog from the park. She didn't know he was the mayor's brother. Marvin adjusted his spectacles and gazed lovingly at his chocolate Labrador retriever. They had been inseparable since the day he brought the puppy home from the animal shelter. People often told him that they looked like twins, but Marvin was pretty sure it wasn't because of their striking resemblance. It was simply because they both had an affinity for napping and eating treats. He walked Duke through the park every morning before his workday started as a librarian, and although it was raining lightly this particular Saturday, neither of them seemed to mind. That was until a woman in her late 50s approached them with a scowl on her face. "I'm sorry, but dogs are not allowed to be in the park when it rains," she said firmly. "The sign clearly states so." She gestured to a sign on the other side of the playground, which Marvin had never noticed before. "Oh, well, you see, he's not just any dog," Marvin replied with a smile. "He's my emotional support animal. We can't stay home when it's such a beautiful day out. It would be cruel." "Emotional support animal, huh? Yeah, I bet you tell yourself that every time," the woman scoffed. "You know, I used to have an emotional support animal too, but they don't let you bring them into restaurants or stores, so I had to get rid of him. I guess some people just aren't cut out for having pets." "But I thought animals were supposed to provide you comfort," Marvin asked, confused. "Yeah, but some of us can't handle the responsibility of taking care of them, especially if you're too busy trying to work or trying to enjoy your freedom," she snapped. "Besides, I'm pretty sure that dog is shedding all over the place. If he's a service animal, why isn't he wearing a vest?" "It's called being a good pet owner," Marvin sighed, realizing where this conversation was going. "Duke doesn't shed much, and he's house-trained. But I think we should go now. It was nice seeing you again, though." "Finally, some common sense," the woman exclaimed. "And make sure to pick up his poop. Some people have kids running around here who might step in it." As Marvin walked away with Duke, he couldn't help but shake his head at the woman's behavior. Some people just loved to cause trouble without knowing the whole story. However, when Marvin turned around, he realized that she had disappeared. He didn't think much of it and continued walking until they reached the part of the park where the rose bushes grew. This was Duke's favorite part of their walks, because the bushes smelled delicious to him, and the thorns kept him from wandering off. When Marvin stopped to admire a pink rose, he heard shuffling in the bushes. A moment later, a tiny Pomeranian emerged, shaking itself off as it trotted towards him. "Oh, hello there," Marvin greeted the little dog. "Are you lost?" The Pomeranian barked twice and nudged Marvin's hand with its nose. Startled by the gesture, Marvin looked around, but there was no one in sight. The dog whined softly and licked his hand. "Well, I can't keep you here all day," Marvin said, scratching behind the dog's ears. "Let's try to find your owner." The Pomeranian barked once more and ran back to the rose bushes. Marvin followed, hoping to find its owner or maybe a collar with a name tag. But as he parted the thorns, he saw something shocking. It was the same woman from earlier, sitting on a bench with her legs crossed and eyes closed. Her breathing was slow and steady, indicating that she was asleep. "Excuse me," Marvin said loudly, "but is that your dog?" The woman opened her eyes and jumped in surprise. "Oh, why, yes," she stammered. "This is Princess Fluffykins. She likes to take naps in the park. And you let her roam free while you sleep?" Marvin asked incredulously. What if a car had run over her? Or what if she had bitten someone? Cars don't usually chase small dogs, and my princess is too sweet to bite anyone, the woman replied with a wave of her hand. Besides, she's friendly, right, Fluffykins? The little dog barked and wagged its tail furiously, jumping on top of the bench to lick the woman's face. That's not what I meant, Marvin said, shaking his head. But I think we should go now. He turned to leave, but the woman stood up and blocked his path. Wait, why are you here anyway? You don't live around here, do you? Actually, I do, Marvin replied with a hint of annoyance. And I have every right to walk my dog in this park. Oh, I'm sorry, the woman said sweetly, completely ignoring his last statement. My name is Karen, and I must say you're quite the handsome one. What's your name, Marvin? He replied suspiciously. Marvin, that's a lovely name. How old are you? Almost 30, he admitted shyly. Karen smiled warmly. Me too. Listen, Marvin, I have a wonderful restaurant in mind where we could go on a date. I'll treat you. Ah, I'm flattered, but I already have a girlfriend, Marvin said quickly, hoping to put an end to the conversation. Oh, is that so? Well, that's certainly unfortunate. Say, why don't you and your dog come over to my place for dinner instead? Just the two of you. My husband would love to meet you. Before Marvin could respond, Karen knelt down and scratched behind Princess Fluffykin's ears. Right, girl, you and your doggy friend will have so much fun at my house. I have plenty of treats for you both. Marvin stared at her in disbelief. Did she really not understand that he wanted nothing to do with her? And why was she being so nice all of a sudden? Something about her behavior was off, and he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Thank you for the offer, but I'm not sure Duke would appreciate it, Marvin finally replied. And besides, we have plans for tonight. Oh, well, then how about tomorrow night? Karen persisted. I'll make your favorite meal, and we can watch TV together. I don't think that's a good idea, Karen, a deep voice suddenly said. Both Marvin and Karen turned around to see a tall man with a stern expression approaching them. He had salt and pepper hair and wore a suit, which made it clear that he was important. Oh, George, you're here, Karen said, her tone suddenly sweet. This gentleman was just leaving, but he said he was almost run over by your dog. You need to keep her on a leash. Run over by my dog. The man's eyes widened in surprise. What are you talking about? Karen tried to explain, but the man waved his hand dismissively. Don't bother, George. I know what happened here. I saw it all from the security cameras. Security cameras? Marvin asked, confused. Yes, as the mayor of this city, I have eyes everywhere, the man replied with a wink. But don't worry, Marvin, I won't have your dog put down for accidentally chasing Fluffykins. After all, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and a whole zoo to raise a mayor. You can't let him get away with this. He almost hurt my poor baby. Karen, please, the man said firmly, taking her hand and leading her away. We're going home. You can watch TV and eat popcorn while I work. As they walked away, Marvin couldn't help but smirk. It seemed that having a famous brother came with its perks. He had actually never told anyone that George was the mayor. Despite their close relationship, he was still surprised by the perks that came with having a famous family member. For example, when he went to the grocery store and paid for his items, the cashier always told him to have a nice day. Sometimes he even got a free item, but that was rare. However, this was the first time he had ever witnessed such blatant favoritism. he felt a surge of gratitude towards George for coming to his rescue and putting an end to Karen's nonsense. From that day forward, whenever Marvin and Duke walked in the park, they did so with their heads held high, knowing that they were not only brother and dog, but also part of an amazing family.